What's up, everybody? My name is Adam Palmer. This is Daily Nonsense. On today's show, we're going to be talking about a controversy in the MLB with one of the debut patches and 3 sports card sales that sold over the weekend. Make sure you leave a like if you like this video, and if you are a new viewer, make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss any more Daily Nonsense content. Let's get into the video. There was a bit of drama at the Red Sox game on Friday night where the number 1 prospect for the Red Sox, Peyton Tolley, got called up to make his debut against the one and only Paul Skeens. The Red Sox, as I'm a fan here, they have these really cool jerseys this year that are kind of replicas of the Green Monster, and they also, a lot of the times when these new rookies are making their debut, they're going to tweet out the image of the debut patch, which they did. Then on the broadcast, there were a couple images that came up of Tolley throwing pitches, and the debut patch was not on his jersey. Now, I have not seen any other rookies that have this issue, really. I feel like it would be something, and maybe it was the fact that it was like a Friday night Paul Skeens start and there was more, out of market people watching the game, so they noticed that this was an issue. But as the night kind of went on, I think it was Friday and then into Saturday is when I was kind of seeing people talk about this. There were some images of him warming up, and he did have the patch while he was warming up. So people are suspecting that it fell off at some point, or he took it off or something. I don't know. I mean, if you're a pitcher in the MLB, I don't necessarily want to categorize them as crazy people, really. But a lot of times you hear these crazy stories about pitchers and they are just I don't know, they're a little bit off their rocker. So maybe he, for some reason, tore it off and took it off or something like that. I don't really know. But it's going to be a controversy, I think. Now, the good thing about it, honestly, is that he's not a huge name player. Now, granted, who knows what he could do? If he gets called up, he got called up for the Red Sox while they're in a playoff race. So the Red Sox clearly value him as a player and a prospect. So, who knows what he does in the playoffs? He could go into next year as one of the really important rookies in Series 1 or in, what'll end up being Topps Update. And in Topps Update, that's where that debut patch will be. And like I said, people saw that he didn't have the patch on the whole time he was playing. So I don't know if that necessarily means that his card or his patch is worth less. I don't think that's the case. I don't think that his card sells for, again, pitchers. If you're not Paul Skeens, pitching prospects and pitching cards are not really super crazy to begin with. So I don't think it's a massive deal. He was the number 1 prospect for the Red Sox. Again, one of the, I don't know, I want to say better teams in the league, but granted, it kind of depends on the year. But I guess will raise the fact that maybe people need to be more careful with these patches. Sure, I think that the patches they are just either Velcro or they're supposed to come off pretty easily. So that way they can take them off either right after the game or right after the start or something like that. But I think it's going to be interesting going forward to see how closely people are watching some of these players who are making their debut to see if these patches make it through the whole game. Because maybe that's just a scenario. I mean, we've known that Fanatics makes jerseys that in the past they have not been the best. So who's to say they're making these patches that are going to be sticking on the jersey, especially when you're a pitcher. That's sort of one of the other things. It's if you're a pitcher, your arm, whether you're right-handed or left-handed, your arms are going crazy. So I think one thing to going forward, it's going to be important to watch if these debut patches make it through the whole game. And in this scenario, clearly they didn't. The other 2-ish topics here, I think they're going to be a little bit shorter because I think, for the WNBA, for example, I've talked about that at length here. I think I've talked about the WNBA and its flaws and its things that are good and things that I think about the WNBA. Soccer, maybe not as much as the WNBA, but I think both of those sports are in a very similar spot here in the sports card industry. So I'll touch about the 2 cards that sold. Well, it's 3 cards technically, but the 2 cards that sold through Fanatics Collects Friday night. The 1-of-1 National Treasures logo woman for Caitlin Clark sold for $504K. So another card that has sold for over 500K. So that's 2 for her. And some of the interesting things in the comments, I don't know. I guess people will. I just am gonna agree to disagree. I can see how people don't like the WNBA. It's fine, but like when we're talking numbers, when we're talking things like that, like I think some of the things I said was like the prices were going up when they're maybe not necessarily. Like her indexes, most of them are going up. If you look at like her silver prism or her regular prism PSA 10s, those ones are going down, which granted, we know that the first sales of these cards of the PSA 10s always go down. Now, granted, I think there was a 5K PSA 10 silver sale, and then the price went down, and then there was another 5K PSA 10 silver sale. I don't know. I think that I'll talk till my face turns blue about the WNBA, about how I think people are wrong about their opinion about it. I think that it's good, and I think it's going to be a league that will be going forward as very popular. Some people clearly do not. I know that maybe these cards don't necessarily mean that the rest of her market is doing well, but I don't know. It's interesting to hear people's takes on it. And again, another 500K, another card that's selling in the high six figures for Caitlin Clark. You know, take that with what you will. Take that with a grain of salt. I don't know, but it's a card that I think is important for the market. It's important for the WNBA market as well. There was a bunch of other also, some of the one-of-one green kabooms. I know the Cameron Brink and the Angel Reese both sold for, I believe, over 10K. So again, cards that are selling for high values. I could talk about WNBA until my face turns blue. So we'll move on to the next card sale, which was a PSA 10 Ronaldo that sold for a rookie Ronaldo Mega Crack, sold for $288K. And within the same time frame, there was also a PSA 10 Messi Mega Cracks rookie that sold, I believe that's 2004, and then Ronaldo's 2003, that sold for $1 million. The PSA 10, which it had a silver NBA, which I believe is Mike Baker authentication sticker on it. So that means it's going to be in a little bit better shape. So sure, I think the comparison between the two cards, between the Ronaldo PSA 10 that sold and the Messi PSA 10 that sold, is not apples to apples. I think that there is a significant difference. I think that the difference in price, if we were talking just a straight PSA 10, like there was one that sold at the National for $800K, and then there was another Messi, I think it was like one of his first kabooms, it was the one of one in whatever first set Messi was in, that sold for $1 million at the National. And I just think, although Ronaldo is one of the best players, like I think it's probably Messi and then Ronaldo, in my opinion. I could see how people could argue the other way with Ronaldo being a better player than Messi. I think Ronaldo really hurt his stock going over to Saudi Arabia. Like, sure, he became he already had generational wealth, but he turned his whole generations on generations on generations on generations of wealth by going over there. And same with Neymar did the same thing. And then Neymar got hurt right away. So he kind of almost, I don't know, that was kind of a crazy scenario too. But I think Ronaldo hurt his sports card stock. And if I'm going to be honest, I think he hurt his overall stock in soccer because he went to a league where nobody really watches him play. And Messi came to the MLS where basically everybody can see him play. Every single week, there's a new Messi goal where it's like, I haven't seen any Ronaldo highlights other than like his team losing in like the Saudi Arabian Super Cup, and he like lost it. And there's rumors that he's potentially retiring. And there's like a bunch of things that are swirling around about Ronaldo. And I think that this $288,000 PSA 10 compared to the $1 million Messi, I would say the Ronaldo should probably be worth a little bit more. Like if the Messi is going to be selling for not this Mike Baker authentication Messi, if the one that was $800K is selling for, if that $800K version is selling, I would say the Ronaldo is probably more like a $400K or $500K card. Those two cards are like insane, and they're probably some of my favorite cards in the industry from a soccer perspective. But yeah, I think overall Ronaldo maybe hurt his stock a little bit by going over there, and I think the price of his PSA 10 that just sold is potentially a little bit undervalued just in the sense that like the Messi sold for $1 million. So overall, I think, I mean, it's weird to say that someone may have gotten a good deal at $288,000 for a PSA 10 sports card, but I think in reality, they kind of got a decent deal with that card potentially. That's all we've got for today's show. Make sure you leave a comment. Let us know what you thought about today's topics, and come back here every day to the Sports Card Nonsense YouTube channel for more daily nonsense content. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.